Louis Thompson, the brilliant mastermind behind the incredibly popular coffee chain, Golden Brew, wasn't just a successful CEO, he was a man on a mission. He built his business on strong core values: equality, exceptional service, and opportunities for all. His goal? To make sure every customer felt welcome and that every employee treated people with respect, no matter who they were. Despite his immense success, Louis never lost touch with the everyday experiences of his customers. A question often lingered in his mind: were his employees truly upholding the company's values? To find out, he decided to make an unannounced visit to one of Golden Brew's busiest city locations. But this wasn't just any visit. Louis went undercover. Trading in his sleek business attire for a simple hoodie and jeans, he blended right in. To anyone watching, he was just another customer. The moment he stepped inside, the place was buzzing. The rich aroma of fresh coffee filled the air as customers chatted and baristas worked tirelessly to fulfill orders. Louis smiled, excited to see his team in action. But almost instantly, something caught his eye: an employee standing behind the counter, blonde hair tied back. She wasn't working, wasn't assisting customers. Instead, she leaned against the counter, eyes glued to her phone, while a long line of customers waited, growing increasingly impatient. Louis stepped forward, his warm smile directed at the employee. "Excuse me," he said politely, "could I get some help, please?" The employee, whose name tag reads Karen, barely acknowledged him. With an exaggerated sigh, she rolled her eyes and muttered, "I'm busy." "Wait," like everyone else. Louis blinked, momentarily stunned by her sheer rudeness. Stepping back into the line, he observed her carefully. Moments later, Karen finally put her phone away and started helping customers, but what Louis noticed next was far more disturbing. Karen greeted white customers with warmth, chatting pleasantly as she quickly took their orders. But when customers of color stepped forward, her entire demeanor changed. She became cold, dismissive, rushing them along without a smile, barely making eye contact. The shift in behavior was undeniable, and the tension in the air was unmistakable. Louis waited patiently, determined to see if this pattern continued. Finally, his turn arrived again. He approached the counter, keeping his tone friendly. "Hi. I'd like a medium latte, please." Karen didn't even glance up. "We're out of that," she said flatly. Louis frowned. He had just watched her make the exact same drink for another customer moments earlier. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. Karen crossed her arms and shot him a sharp look. "Try another store," she snapped. The entire room seemed to freeze. A heavy silence fell over the space as Louis stood there, a mix of disbelief and disappointment washing over him. Was this really how his employees treated customers when they thought no one important was watching? Without another word, Louis gave a small nod and walked out of the store. He had seen enough. But this wasn't just about poor service. No, this was something deeper. Something far more troubling. As he walked to his car, his mind raced. How many other customers had been treated this way? How many had walked out feeling disrespected, unwelcome? One thing was certain. This wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. Back at Golden Brew's headquarters, Louis wasted no time investigating. He pulled up customer feedback and employee reports from the very branch he had visited. And what he found? It only fueled his frustration. Numerous complaints about rude service and unfair treatment kept appearing, many of them mentioning a blonde employee. Some customers even expressed that they felt unwelcome because of their race. The pieces started to fall into place. Karen had a history of this behavior. But what shocked Louis even more? The store manager, Jessica, had never filed a single official report. Determined to get to the bottom of it, Louis called Jessica in for a private meeting. At first, she seemed hesitant, but eventually, she admitted that she had noticed Karen's behavior. However, she had stayed silent. "Karen is popular with some of the staff," she explained nervously. "If I called her out, I was afraid it would cause tension. I didn't want to make things worse." Louis listened intently, his expression calm but serious. He assured Jessica that fostering a fair, welcoming workplace was far more important than avoiding conflict. While he appreciated her honesty, he made it crystal clear, allowing this kind of behavior to continue was absolutely unacceptable. With Jessica's cooperation, Louis began planning his next move. 1 week later, Louis returned to the same Golden Brew branch. But this time, he wasn't in casual clothes. Dressed sharply in a tailored suit, he walked through the doors with a small team of executives. The moment they stepped inside, the entire store fell silent. Customers paused mid-sip, and employees exchanged nervous glances. Karen, completely unaware of what was about to unfold, was laughing with another employee until Louis spoke. "Can I have everyone's attention, please?" His voice was steady, commanding. The staff quickly gathered, expressions a mix of curiosity and worry. Karen, still scrolling through her phone, barely reacted until she looked up and saw him. Her eyes widened in panic as she shoved her phone into her pocket. "My name is Louis Thompson," he stated firmly. "I'm the CEO of Golden Brew." Gasps filled the room. Karen stood frozen, her face turning pale. Louis scanned the room, his gaze finally locking onto her. "Last week, I visited this store, Undercover. I wanted to see firsthand how customers were treated." His voice grew sharper. "What I experienced, completely unacceptable. I was ignored, dismissed, and lied to. And based on the complaints I've reviewed, I'm not the only one." Karen's mouth opened and closed. I didn't know it was you," she stammered. Louis raised a hand, silencing her. "It doesn't matter who I am. Every customer deserves respect. Not just the ones you think are important." The tension in the room was thick. Karen's usual arrogance had vanished. She muttered weak excuses, but it was clear they wouldn't save her now. Turning to the entire staff, Louis spoke with conviction. Golden Brew was built on the idea that everyone is welcome. This kind of behavior has no place here, and it will not be tolerated. Karen sat in stunned silence as Louis prepared to deliver the justice she had coming. "Karen," he said firmly, "your behavior last week, along with the complaints I've reviewed, show a clear pattern of disrespect and discrimination. That is unacceptable, and I will not allow it to continue." Karen's face drained of color. "Wait. I can change. It won't happen again, I swear." But Louis shook his head. "I gave you countless chances, with every customer you served, and you made your choice." His voice was unwavering. "Effective immediately, you are no longer employed at Golden Brew." Karen gasped, looking around for support, but none of her coworkers spoke up. Turning to Jessica, Louis addressed her with a steady tone. "I understand the challenges you've faced, but as a leader, it's your responsibility to make sure this workplace reflects our values. I'm giving you the tools to succeed." Jessica nodded, a look of both relief and determination in her eyes. Louis then announced sweeping company-wide changes. "Starting today, we're implementing mandatory diversity and inclusion training for all employees. We will not wait for problems. We will address them proactively." Word of the incident spread like wildfire. Social media erupted with praise for Louis's swift action. Customers noticed the immediate improvements, and business flourished. One day, Louis visited another branch and met a young black barista. The barista's eyes lit up. "You're Mr. Thompson. You're the reason I wanted to work here." Louis smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. Golden Brew wasn't just a coffee shop. It was a symbol of inclusivity, equality, and doing what's right. And to him, that was the greatest achievement of all.